Welcome to my Days of Our Lives official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Editors have independently selected all of the goods and services that are listed. On the other hand, Soaps.com might get paid a commission for orders made through its retail links, and the retailer might get some data that can be audited for bookkeeping purposes. Finally, Xander's mother Fiona will be making her way to Salem, and we have a sneaking suspicion that she will blow everything up on Days of Our Lives. With all the recent indications pointing to a spectacular double wedding entrance, we've been wondering for months who would be playing her and when she will make an appearance. And it appears that the signals were accurate since, according to TV Guide magazine, Serena Scott Thomas will play Fiona on Friday, July 19th, immediately before Xander and Sarah's double wedding with Alex and Teresa begins. People had theorized that Scott Thomas would portray everyone from Fiona Cook to Constantine's wife when we initially learned about her casting announcement. After years of estrangement, Xander just disclosed her alcoholism to him. We have a sneaking suspicion that his disdain for her will be so great that the wedding appearance will completely surprise him. Paul Telfer stated that Xander knows that his mom's such a terrible, awful person, such a wretched flake that she won't show up anyway in an earlier interview with Soaps.com. But when she does come up, it seems like she wants to finally treat her son well. Scott Thomas tells TV Guide that Fiona has her own flair, characterizing her as large and in charge, with a twinkle in her eye. Furthermore, she wants to make amends with her son, according to her. Is there anything we can do to help her make apologies? Dispel Teresa's falsehood that Alex, not Xander, is Victor's son. Nonetheless, she is unlikely to acquire her son's favor by concealing his true origin from him for the entirety of his life. We'd even venture to say that things will likely get much worse before they get better, even after the truth is revealed. She told TV Guide, "I loved Paul from the moment I saw him, and she had nothing but wonderful things to say about her co-stars, including Scott Thomas. He said, 'Mom,' and held out his arms as I spotted him in the hallway. He brought me to lunch and was quite sweet. Besides, Lindsay Godfrey is just a doll. And I love Suzanne, Rogers, Maggie. I hope to resemble her when I'm older." Despite her amazing, almost regal presence, she is incredibly modest. "I've never been so happy on a set," she continues. That's fortunate because we have a good feeling that Days of Our Lives gave her a thorough training for this upcoming storyline. In a teaser for Soaps.com, Telfer said, "The entire mummy plot is incredible. It's my finest performance on the show to date. We are eager." Bobby rolled his eyes and brushed away his tears once Stephanie closed the door. A delighted smile stretched across his face as he let out a breath. There was a happy reunion between Jada and Gabby outside the Brady pub. Jada conveyed Rafe's relief at Gabby's release, and she credited Stefan and Rafe's unwavering efforts for the successful release. Although Jada tempered her praise by speculating that the real killer of Lee might still be at large, Gabby was relieved that the police had finally located him. Gabby acknowledged that Rafe had told her about Bobby's allegations. She inquired as to what Jada had picked up from Bobby, but Jada replied that her quest for information had come to an end with Everett's return. Knowing how challenging managing alters may be, Gabby told Jada about her past experiences with Abigail's Gabby alter. Gabby did question how, if someone else had been the murderer, Gil's bloody fingerprint on his book could be explained. Gabby and Jada both expressed dissatisfaction with the lack of definitive responses. When Jada mentioned that she had to locate Rafe, Gabby told her that Rafe was at Abigail's grave. Rafe gave Paulina an update on the exhumation during a phone call at the burial. Paulina was given his word that he would exercise caution because open graves can be dangerous. At that moment, Connie approached Rafe from behind and stabbed him in the back. With a cry of agony, Rafe collapsed to the ground. Connie grinned as she stood over him, observing, "Looks like that open grave is the least of your worries." For a moment Rafe stirred and tried to grab his phone, but it was not there. Convinced that it was nothing personal, Connie told Rafe, "But a deal's a deal." She thought of Bobby and how she had promised to take Rafe out for him in return for Bobby staying silent. As she got ready to shove Rafe into the open grave, Connie commented on her good fortune. "At least no one can say I didn't give you a proper burial," she grumbled. Grabbing a shovel, Connie explained how she was going to cover Rafe with enough dirt to hide him. After that, she would have to depend on the workers to finish the burial. She was beginning to sound like one of Connie's true crime podcasts, she thought with a laugh. A startled Connie ran away when she heard someone yell for Rafe. Jada arrived on the scene and went straight to Rafe, who was still holding the knife out of his back. Jada questioned who could have wounded Rafe as she desperately begged him to wake up. She reached for her phone and dialed 911. Gabby contacted Ava while she was still outside the bar, asking to meet to talk about bringing Gabby's sheik back to life. Gabby mentioned assembling a team when Connie arrived. Gabby was asked where she might sign up. Gabby completed her conversation with Ava and moved to face Connie, who at first seemed to be unknown to Gabby. Connie reminded her that they had met before Gabby's exoneration at the press conference, and Connie had expressed her relief at that. Connie claimed to have heard Gabby discussing bringing Gabby's sheik back to life. She introduced herself as a Gabby sheik stan, flirted with Gabby, and seemed to be looking for work. Gabby suggested that Connie submit her resume. If employed, Connie said with great enthusiasm, "You won't have to worry about me stabbing you in the back." Afterwards, Connie showed up at Bobby's door. In order to keep her hidden, he hurried her inside. Bobby assured Connie that he would remain silent about her as long as she kept her end of the bargain. Connie confirmed that he was still Bobby. Connie assured Bobby that the task had already been completed. Bobby was skeptical at first, but she reassured him that he wouldn't have to worry about Rafe ever again. Kate went to visit Chad at the Horton residence. What investment opportunity had she wished to present to him, he inquired. Seeing that Chad was preoccupied, Kate inquired as to what had transpired. There had been a surprise at Abigail's burial, Chad informed her. Kate warned Chad that Clyde might be playing him after he handed her the information. Though he had to obtain answers since not knowing the truth had been driving him insane, Chad acknowledged that it was a possibility. Chad claimed that whilst the footage was being assessed, he was engaged in a waiting game. Chad grinned when Kate asked if she could wait with him. He needed something to divert his attention, so he inquired further about Kate's business proposition. Though hesitant, Kate asked Chad his thoughts on soap operas after being encouraged to do so. When Kate told Chad about her plan to create a soap opera, Chad acknowledged that he was ignorant about the genre. Kate was certain that she and Abe could grow their audience and turn a profit in spite of the challenges. Chad recalled how much he had enjoyed working on Johnny's disastrous production endeavor. Following some consideration, Chad said to a delighted Kate, "Let's make some soap." Kate asked Chad to keep her informed about Abigail's predicament and consented to send him the necessary documents. She also told Chad that Abigail had previously returned to him, suggesting that perhaps yet another miracle was in the works. Later, Stephanie came over to see how Chad was doing. She offered him her condolences on Abigail, and Chad inquired about Everett. Though things with Everett hadn't worked out, Stephanie was relieved that he now had control over his life once more, recalling Everett's earlier breakup speech. While Paulina was on the phone trying to get in touch with Rafe again, Abe entered the room at Abe and Paulina's apartment. Paulina couldn't understand why the call had stopped so suddenly. If Rafe needed her, she figured he would get back to her. Then Paulina summoned a crew member to fill in Abigail's grave, telling him to do so that some poor soul wouldn't fall in. She and Abe both expressed shock at the situation and sympathy for Chad as she concluded the call. Paulina later saw Abe reading about Body and Soul. He acknowledged that he had been looking into the show for a business proposal that Kate had presented, despite her teasing him. When Abe mentioned that he might produce the show, Paulina laughed at first because she didn't realize he was interested in TV production. Still, she became receptive to the notion and offered her support. As he was such a devoted fan, she informed Abe that he had an audience waiting for him and that it would be a labor of love. Abe raised concerns about the workload, citing the show's lengthy history and outlandish stories. Stories he'd told Paulina about aliens, talking dolls, and split personalities. Paulina raved about the possibility of marrying a big-time TV producer and talked merrily about going to the Daytime Emmy Awards. Paulina was forewarned by Abe not to get ahead of herself because he and Kate still have rights to protect. When Paulina asked if they could film the show in Salem due to tax incentives, Abe reassured her that they could relocate to Los Angeles. Paulina pondered whether the celebrities would be open to moving to Salem and abandoning Hollywood. The parts could always be recast, according to Abe, even if he would like to use the same actors. He gave Paulina an explanation of the customary procedure. Abe informed Paulina that, just a few weeks before, she would have leaped at the chance to travel to Los Angeles, but Paulina was relieved that they wouldn't have to relocate. Paulina acknowledged the argument, but she wanted to be there for her daughter, and Chanel was staying in town, after all. Paulina was assured by Abe that he would never ask her to abandon her work or her family. Paulina made a joke about how her work would make a great soap opera, especially after the drama with EJ. Abe concurred that the events in Salem were excellent material for soap operas. When Kate finally showed there, she declared that she had convinced Chad to become an investor. Paulina was thrilled to offer to invest as well, but Abe dissuaded her because of possible conflicts of interest arising from her role as mayor. In addition, Kate told the couple that she had scheduled a meeting with the studio to talk about getting the show's rights. Paulina exclaimed, "You're going to bring body and soul back from the dead," as Abe grinned at the news. Once they returned to the hospital, Kayla and a nurse attended to Rafe, who was lying on his side. In the room with Kayla was a distraught Jada, who inquired about Rafe's well-being from her. To allow the crew to assist Rafe, Kayla instructed Jada to go outdoors. Jada made a call outside the room, demanding that the individual who had harmed Rafe be found. After hanging up, she remembered the day she had decided to move in with Rafe. She recalled telling Rafe that he was her person and that he had restored her faith and love. Gabby hurried out of the elevator as Jada became upset and inquired about her brother's whereabouts. When Jada told Gabby, Gabby was astonished and couldn't figure out who may have done the crime. Once back in the room, Kayla told the nurse there was no visible injury to her spine. The monitors started beeping all of a sudden. "He's going into shock," Kayla called the nurse. "He's leaving us." Thanks for watching. If you like this video, so please don't forget to subscribe my channel and don't miss any update.